All right. Can everyone hear me now? All right, family. What I was saying, I'm sorry for the technical difficulties. What I was saying was that this particular, can everyone hear me now? That this particular show, I'm dedicating to my late Jegna and mentor, Dr. James Turner, Professor Emeritus at Cornell University, the founding director of the Africana Studies and Research Center at Cornell University, and the person who actually came with the whole term of Africana Studies and the conceptualization of what that means. What are we studying when we say Africana Studies? He helped one of the key people who came up with the concept, along with his Jegna, Dr. John Henry Clark. We're talking today, family, about a subject that is very, very importante. And that subject is, hold on, our need, our need not to engage in demoralizing our people, family. When we're doing these live broadcasts, when we writing books, when we're speaking at rallies, to make sure that we are not demoralizing the very people we say we love and we trying to support. Hold on one second, family. That is very, very important. And that's what we're talking about today. So today what I'm going to do is pretty much uh, define what I mean by demoralizing. And I am also going to try to help you understand why when we demoralize our people, it is dangerous, why it is not something that's good to do, why it is reactionary. All right? That's what we're going to do. Now, just give me a second, man. We got a lot going on here in terms of the tech. Bear with your brother, all right? Bear with your brother. In the meantime, what I'd like to do is ask you all, please, if you have not yet, subscribe to our channel. Hit that red subscribe button. We are at 755 subscribers. We're on a race to 1,000, family. We're on a race to 1,000, and we know that with your help, we will in fact get there, right? I'm just going to bring the slideshow up. Give me one second. I'm going to bring the slideshow up, and we're going to get it started. Also, in the meantime, please share this with other people. They're going to find this show quite interesting, I'm pretty sure, and informative. I want to show you the benefit of Africana studies, of how it teaches us to think and research and present our ideas and support them. Very important. I should be up and running in about 1 minute, family. Thank you for your patience. Also, family, let's remember today is August 17th. What important figure had a birthday today? 135 years ago. Without this man, there'd be no Malcolm X as we know him. There'd be no Elijah Muhammad as we know him. There'd be no Black Power movement as we know it. We wouldn't know nothing about red, black, and green as a flag. Some of us wouldn't even be talking about a nation and about the importance of Africa. This man's name is the most honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. Today we celebrate his 135th birthday. I don't know about you, but I give nothing but love and respect to the people that came before me that gave my life meaning. So he's a very important man. Hopefully you are in a city where they're celebrating him. I know here in New York City, they're having a big film. They're showing a new documentary on him right here in Harlem. That's big news. And it should be up and running in a minute. Very important slideshow. Hold on one second, family. And I thank you again for your patience. This is one of those don't blame it on me, blame it on the computer moments. We're going to keep the show going. Okay. All right. All right. Everybody should see the beginning of the slideshow. All right. Okay, family. So let us begin. The point here is to stop criminalizing our people. That is what we're talking about. Okay, let us begin. The first thing, when we talk about demoralizing, what do we mean? When we say demoralizing, we're talking about causing someone to lose confidence or hope, being disheartening, crushing people's spirit, maybe making people feel like no matter what they do, they will not be successful, right? Now, Brian Glick wrote a book called War at Home, and he discussed the infamous FBI's COINTELPRO, which stands for Counterintelligence Program, which was used against not only leftists or communists, but particularly against black nationalist groups of the Black Power movement. Groups like the Nation of Islam, the Black Panther Party, the Black Liberation Army, the Republic of New Africa, the Revolutionary Action Movement, right? And he highlights 5 things, but I'm going to look at 3 things in particular that Brian Glick highlights in his book when he talks about COINTELPRO methods. He talks about psychological warfare. He talks about smear campaigns, and he talks about the use of illegal force, right? So by psychological warfare, we're talking about things they did to disorient, to confuse, to scare, to intimidate our people, particularly leaders and members of the Black Power groups. If you have been watching your news, you are well aware that Brother Omali Yeshitela, the chairman and founder of the African People's Socialist Party, he and his wife, the FBI, bum rushed them, raided their house about a week or 2 ago, made them come outside, handcuffed them roughly, because these are elders, took their cell phones, took all the laptops in their house, took all the notebooks in their house, all the written material, and did the same thing at their headquarters. This was in St. Petersburg, Florida, right? Did the same thing at the headquarters where their newspaper, The Burning Spear, is produced, and took the editor out of her house, handcuffed her, took the newspapers, took all types of stuff. They wanted the smartphones and their notebooks, all their materials, right? And I did a live and we talked about how this is a form of psychological warfare. It's designed to intimidate you. Why? Because they never come at prime time when you're eating dinner, when you're fully awake and alert. They come early in the morning when they know you'll be half sleepy, you won't be properly dressed, you'll be disoriented, you won't know what the hell is going on. And if you have guns and you're the type that's going to shoot them, you will be not in a position, right, to be too useful in that regard. You'll be really tired. You'll be stumbling around trying to find where your stuff is, and they got you. They're trying to sneak up on you. Psychological warfare. Smear campaigns, Brian Glick talks about. This sort of organized attempt to ruin your reputation. Oh, so-and-so sleeps around. You ain't the only one he with. So-and-so's a thief. Yeah, they stealing money from the organization. Or so-and-so is smoking drugs and selling drugs on the side. Or so-and-so is down with a human trafficking ring. Anything to damage the reputation of the leaders or the members of the group, right? We know what a smear campaign is. And then illegal force, simply bum rushing, using weapons illegally and unethically to intimidate. Now, when you put all this together, what happens? What's the objectives? And in many cases, what are the consequences? The objectives of these tactics of the FBI were to create disunity and infighting in our organizations, to turn one member against another member, to turn a leader of one organization against a leader of another black organization, when they're all supposed to be fighting for our liberty and our freedom. 2, to cause confusion and fear. Why confusion? When you confused, when you don't know which way is north, south, west, east, you're not going to go in the right direction. You're going to be lost like Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. fear, because if you're afraid, you're going to be paralyzed. You're going to be afraid to move and do anything. You're disoriented. It sabotages all your forward motion when you're confused and scared. And then 3, to just in general disrupt the Black liberation movement. That's why the FBI used COINTELPRO against us, family. And I've talked with many of the elders who were Black Panther Party leaders, Revolutionary Action Movement leaders, and they'd have stories about how drugs were planted in their homes and their vehicles, fake arrests were made against them, they had no real proof or evidence or real charge, how they were beat up in the back of police cars, all types of things, and even worse. Now, here's the point. We're coming home. These are all forms of demoralization. Demoralization causes people to lose hope, to lose faith, to lose trust in their teammates or their fellow members of their organization. That certainly is going to ruin an organization if nobody trusts each other. If nobody has faith, the leader or whoever's saying, okay, we're going to do this, and this is what we think this is going to achieve, and you got people in the meeting grumbling under their breath, this ain't going to work. This is a waste of time. Well, of course, an organization can't move. A team can't be successful if the people don't believe they can win. So one of the first things is to destroy your hope, faith, and trust. The second thing that demoralization causes amongst people is it causes them to fight and to resent their own teammates, right? So in the Black Panther Party, we know of the schism between Huey P. Newton and Eldridge Cleaver at one point. We know about the schism between Honorable Marcus Garvey and W.E.B. Du Bois at one point. We know about the schism between W.E.B. Du Bois and Booker T. Washington, and we can go on and on. Every historical era, Black leaders that have the same general objective but go about it differently, fighting each other, hating on each other, right? Now, third thing, and this is very important, demoralization. When people demoralize you, family, they suck your spirit out. They got you cowering in fear and talk about, we can't do that. Black people can't have no cooperatively owned supermarket. Black people can't be free. Black people can't run no business because we're not good with money. Black people can't go to school because we're going to drop out because we don't like reading. If you want to hide money, put it between the pages of a book. What type of nonsense is that to teach our people? And yet you hear Black people saying it about other Black people, family. What does all this do? If you're in an organization, this type of stuff makes you want to leave the organization. You say, man, we're not going to win, so why am I coming to this meeting every Wednesday at 8 o'clock? We're not going to win, so why am I doing this required reading and going to study groups and knocking on doors and calling people and doing voter registration and all the things we do as community organizers? So it's designed to cause you to quit, to give up, to lose hope. And if you do all that, that completely disrupts any movement. You can't have a socio-political movement for Black liberation or self-determination, and 2/3 of the people are scared, afraid, don't believe, don't trust each other, and they got resentments with their leaders and other members, right? Now, check this out. Some people who engage in this, who are constantly doing these speeches and protests and these presentations where they're beating up on Black people. Y'all don't read. Y'all don't do this. Y'all don't do that. They will say, no, IJ, we're not demoralizing. We're giving critique. We're being critical. Now check this out. Principal critique is nothing at all like demoralization. Why? Because principal critique, first of all, it's like a good doctor. Listen carefully, family. A good doctor provides an accurate analysis. They're going to do tests. They're going to do different things. They may take your urine, your blood, whatever they're going to do. They're going to refer to their medical manuals and their books, and they're going to come to you with a diagnosis. They're going to talk to you. How are you feeling? When did this happen? What did you eat before that? They're going to have an accurate diagnosis. What is an accurate diagnosis? It means that someone has given you an understanding of your condition. What caused the condition? What the condition means, defines it, describes it for you, and then they're going to tell you some of the effects of this particular condition. right? Number two, principal critique like a good doctor. It will give you an effective prescription. Imagine you went to a doctor and you were complaining of stomach pain, and the doctor's checking your foot. Wouldn't you be a tad bit distrustful of that doctor? Wouldn't you think, where did this person go to medical school? Wouldn't you think, is this a joke? I have stomach pains, they're checking my finger and my foot. This would give you the impression that this person didn't know what they were talking about. They weren't seasoned, they weren't competent, right? Same thing with a critique. A good critique is going to give you a diagnosis that's accurate. Imagine you went to the doctor's stomach pains and they said, oh, you know what? It didn't do any tests, didn't get your urine, didn't get your blood, didn't ask you no questions. Just said, oh, the stomach hurts. Oh, you know what? What you got to do is make sure you do 15 push-ups a night. You'd be like, what? What are you talking about? That has nothing to do. So they gave you a diagnosis. They say the problem is that your triceps are weak. That's why your stomach hurts. Well, certainly that's not an accurate diagnosis. Just because people are talking heads on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter and they're telling you a bunch of stuff doesn't mean they know what they're talking about, and it doesn't mean they're right and exact. And I grew up in Harlem, family. Proudly in Harlem, the home of Clarence 13X, Father Allah, who created the 5% nation of gods and herbs. And the first thing they teach you is be right and exact. Speak with precision. Don't say a bunch of stuff and you don't know what you're talking about to our people, right? You love people, you tell them the truth, and you do it in a way that's accurate, okay? So it's not enough to give a diagnosis. It has to be accurate. Secondly, it's not enough to give an accurate diagnosis. The patient now wants to know what? Okay, so what do I do? You say that we're miseducated, we're ignorant, right? Well, what do I do? Why? The white man and the school system, and they left our history out? Okay. Diagnosis? Yes. Now what? Who's responsible? Yes. Now what? So they're going to give you a prescription. Oh, what you need to do is check out this political education class. We have required readings, and these readings will take you through your history. You'll know where you come from. You know why we speak in all these different languages. You know why, even though you're in Costa Rica, or you're a black person in New York, or you're a black person in Uruguay, we're still all African. You'll understand that Pan-African concept. But you got to learn. You got to watch certain films. You got to learn about Marcus Garvey and Brother X and Sister Ella Baker, right? And all these Queen Mother Moore. You got to know this history. Once you know that, this will make sense. And guess what? You're cured of what? Ignorance. You will no longer be ignorant, right? The third thing about a principal critique that makes it different from demoralizing people, just beating up on our people in your speeches and your writings, is that the intention behind this is really to help us heal, to help us build, to help us unify, and to help us be liberated. So Malcolm, you might say, well, Brother IJ, you just contradicted yourself, because Brother Malcolm used to talk about us bad. He said, wait, here's the difference, family. Brother Malcolm was telling you the truth about yourself that nobody wanted to hear, because you have to admit, if, in other words, you have bad breath, your clothes smell, your chest hurts a lot, your breathing's bad, and Malcolm says, hey, man, you smoking again. You say, yeah. He said, man, listen, my brother, you got to stop the smoking. You know that the smoking is probably contributing to that. Yeah, that's making you uncomfortable. Right? That's what he did. He told you the truth that nobody else was brave enough to tell you, because he knew that you had to know why you were in the condition you were in. But then he followed that with remedy. He followed that throughout his speeches and his rallies with remedy. He helped you understand why you smoke so much. You probably smoke so much because you're anxious. You may smoke so much because you're hurt. You may smoke so much because you went through trauma, and smoking is a known kind of calming sort of habit. So he helps you understand, oh, wow, and there's probably a time when you started smoking. Do you remember when you started smoking? Do you remember what was going on in your life when you started? Yeah, so it makes sense. He helps you understand your problem. When he says, who taught you to hate your lips? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin? Who taught you that? Right? He's telling you, he's breaking it down. Why you are the way you are. And then he's giving you remedy. Unlike a person that's just getting on the mic and saying, you ugly, you stupid, you ain't never gonna do nothing. Well, you niggas need to get it together. And doesn't tell you, wait, I'm not a nigga. God ain't make no niggas. The white man made niggas. And we didn't leave Africa as no niggas. We was running civilizations 15, 20,000 and more years old, family. America ain't even 300 years old yet. So it wasn't no niggas in Africa. There were nations that spoke different languages and had slightly different cultures. But there wasn't no niggas. We got here and was made to niggas. Let's keep that real. And we talk about who's the real nigga. Who's the real lazy people that want to enslave and colonize other people and take over their land and impose their language and sexually assault the men and women? Who's the real nigga? If you think about it, it certainly wasn't us. Now, here's the thing, family. I really want to help y'all really understand this, because my goal is that when you hear somebody in our community that's a so-called leader, self-proclaimed or community appointed, and you hear them talking a certain way, saying certain things, I want you to be able to identify this person is demoralizing. This is a demoralizing lecture. This isn't good for us. Okay. How do black people demoralize other black people? What are the methods that go into this? One, scapegoating. Things like, the problem with our community, all these youth that's miseducated and violent and running amok, it's these women, these single parent black women. They're the reason. They're the reason Pookie on drugs. They're the reason Nene selling drugs. They're the reason that so-and-so is killing people. That's scapegoating. That's taking a whole complex situation and oversimplifying it and saying that black women are the cause, which we know is not correct. The same could be said for when people scapegoat black men. Everything wrong in the world is because of black men. That's wrong too. That's demoralizing. Or the reason that black people getting killed and miseducated is because these youth, these millennials, they're the whole problem. Well, that's wrong too, right? It's scapegoating, family. The reason why that's demoralizing is because what it does is it pits one subgroup of black people against another subgroup of black people. It exacerbates already existing tensions, because let's think about it. Young people and old people already have tension. They call it generation gap. We have kind of different priorities, different values, different things that appeal to us. And that doesn't have to be a problem, but far too often there's tension between young people and old people. There's tension between men and women. That's why you got a million books about, how to resolve your relationships and how men and women are different from women. All these things are exacerbating tension, causing what? Division. Number two, people who demoralize will constantly use what I call negative exceptionalism. That doesn't make sense, right? Sounds like they're a counterintuitive oxymoron type of term. Negative exceptionalism. In other words, black people are good at everything bad. So we the only people that get our check and blow it in a weekend. Wrong, incorrect, inaccurate, and it's painting a picture of our people as being losers. That's not true. We the only people up in the welfare line getting food stamps. Not true. Again, this is a person that doesn't do research. Completely false. More white people in social services, more white people, drug addicts, more white, and we can keep going, family. Right? We the only people, all we do is dance and party. We don't do no work. That's a lie. You know how many black businesses there are, black attorneys there are, black judges there are, black teachers there are, black college students there are? Stop it. You're sounding like white folk now, repeating lies about our people that do nothing but demoralize us. The black homes messed up. None of these fathers are in the kids' lives. That's a lie. Sure, there's fathers that aren't there in kids' lives, but there are other men that step up. Priests, the kids' teachers, the kids' pastor, right? People in the community. And we should say, just because a father's not in the home physically, meaning he's not with the mother of his child, doesn't mean that he's not meaningfully involved in his children's life. Studies just came out that showed that black men are amongst the highest group most likely to be in their children's life. This goes against everything you believe, right? Because you probably are perpetuating the lie and didn't do the research, right? This is the importance of scholarship. This is why I dedicate this to Dr. Turner. because he was all about, before you talk and speculate and give your opinion, know what you're talking about. Tell people the truth, right? Okay. The other thing they do, this whole only black people do, and it's everything bad. They never tell you the good things supposedly that black people do. That's demoralizing, family. You leave that type of lecture like, damn, we mucked up. We are mucked up. We deaf, dumb, blind. We poor. We ain't never gonna get right. We disorganized. We ain't never gonna unify. How do you attract people to your organization with that type of teaching? And you wonder why people don't want to hear what you got to say. People see you and go the other way. Come on, fam. We got to get it together. Also, people who demoralize black people promote anti-intellectualism. They tell you stuff like, all these teachers and these scholars. We don't need no teachers and scholars. All they do is go to school. That they ain't in the hood. They don't know what's really going on. We don't need no more talking and studying. We need people out here fighting. We need food, clothing, and shelter. We don't need education. That's overrated. Right? Now, nothing could be further from the truth. That's demoralizing, by the way. That's demoralizing because it's setting you up for the wet up. That's the setup. Because even soldiers, since people like to throw, we need to be fighting, not studying. Do you have any family people that are in the military? Well, anyone listening, are you in the military? Were you ever in the military? Did you ever read stories about black soldiers? If you did, you surely know that they must go through a boot camp. They read, they study, they prepare, they practice all the time. If study wasn't important, how come the Black Panther Party had an 8-week political education class? How come it was required? They had required reading, required films you had to watch, like the Battle of Algiers, so you could study the nature of revolution and urban guerrilla warfare. How come Kwame Nkrumah wrote the book Handbook of Revolutionary Warfare, Neo-Colonialism, Pan-Africanism, or Perish? How come Marcus Garvey said that any man that is a revolutionary, any woman, must read, they must study and constantly learn. They must have an extensive vocabulary and an in-depth knowledge of the world. How come all these revolutionaries, the people we celebrate, we revere, all were readers? Every last one of them. I mean, assuming that we're talking about a time where black people were literate. We know that during the period of enslavement, most of us were illiterate, but that wasn't our fault. That's because we were prohibited from reading and prohibited from going to school. So why do we push that? Why, when we go to the ancient temples in Kemet and we look at the wall, the writing on the walls, and the writings of different pharaohs, and they all talking about, man, know thyself that you may know the universe. And it's all talking about acquiring wisdom. And they had universities. University of Timbuktu still stands today. Over 70,000 manuscripts. Does this sound like a people who did not support education? Certainly not. And by the way, mentioning my late Jack, Dr. James Turner, he often told this story to his students. He was a young man in Manhattan growing up, very smart, but kind of ran around in the streets with some of the gangs at the time. Back then, every block had a gang, and he asked Brother Malcolm. He went up to Brother Malcolm in Harlem after his speech, and he asked him, I'm debating about going to college. I kind of don't think I should because it's the white man's thing. And what do you think, Minister Malcolm? And Brother Malcolm told him very, very clearly, man, listen, if you have what it takes to go to college, go to college. One of my greatest regrets is that I never went. I wish I could go back to college right now. So if you can go. Get that information, the knowledge, the skills, the contacts, and bring it back home for your people. In other words, don't integrate, infiltrate. So when people are there promoting it, beating up on your scholars, that one of the keys of civilization, one of the key things you look for to say that this group had a civilization is what? Literature, scholarship, family. You're not even considered a civilization if you don't have some type of literature, some type of philosophy, some type of theory and scholarship. It just doesn't happen. So when people promote that, they're actually doing us a disservice. Leaders are readers. We need people who understand, who know, who are willing to kind of learn the things that they don't learn, because the goal is to help free our people, and you need to know what you're doing to do that. And then lastly, family, I want to say people that are black who say they're helping us, another way that they beat up on black people and demoralize them is through promoting fear and insecurity. What does that mean? How does one do that? Oh, here comes the conspiracies. Oh, I wouldn't do. No, I want to talk to you about this, but we can't talk on the phone. Cause see, no. See, you don't understand. The white man got all types of stuff. Yeah, he does. After all, it is his cell phone network and his towers, sure. And I don't want to email you because the white man is well, yeah, because it's his email platform. But they get you so paralyzed by fear, family, and paranoia that it becomes irrational. Now how are we gonna communicate? Do I gotta come to your house every damn time to tell you something? I mean, how are we gonna exchange ideas if I can't ever call you, email you? How are we gonna do that? Right? You're so caught up in paranoia and fear, right? That's how they do that. Promote fear and insecurity. Tell you everything the white man can do, all of the gadgets he got, and how he's listening in. Guess what? Let them listen in, family. They've been listening to us, to our movements, what we're doing forever. Don't be a fool. Be crafty, be creative, but you don't get paralyzed by paranoia and fear. Now, let's wrap it up. I say all of this just to make this point. The great irony is that people who say they're for black liberation, and even black nationalists, and even Pan-Africanists, and they love black people, and we got to work together. Check this out. When they demoralize the community, much like the FBI did with COINTELPRO, they're actually aiding in our destruction. They're actually sabotaging our forward motion. They're actually helping to destroy our movement, because if we let them go unchecked, they're gonna scare the hell out of most of the people that come to the meeting. They're gonna make people say, "Man, I don't want to give no money to that. We're not gonna win anyway. Shit, I might as well stay home. What am I fighting for?" And that we cannot afford, family. So that's all I really wanted to get across. I hope that it was useful. I see a lot of comments. Oh man, I see the board is buzzing. Bob Cosmic, my Queen Brenda, they're doing it. And I want to thank you for coming out. Sorry for the technical difficulty in the beginning, but family, I do want to definitely let you know, we need good doctors for our leadership. We need people who's going to love you enough to not go on hearsay and speculation. They're going to find out what's wrong with the black body. What's wrong with us, with our religious manifestations? What's going on with our pockets and our financial, our money? Why are we not keeping as much money as we could? What's up with our children in school, and what can we do to make these situations better for ourselves? So we're not consistently complaining about our pains and our aches, but we now have what? Remedy. We understand, sure, we might be eating something that's causing the pain. And this doctor who's done the proper study helps you to see, listen, you know those pistachios, brother, they create acid. The acid is built up is why you have the pain. Wow, so now they give a remedy. Stop eating pistachios. Or you have a vitamin C deficiency. Eat some green leafy vegetables. That's what we need. We need people that are coming with an analysis, that have love for the people, that ain't scared, that ain't trying to get attention. They're trying to help. They're trying to use their education and their experience to help us. And that means they're willing to not be intellectually lazy. It's very intellectually lazy to come with these overly simplistic answers for stuff that's complex. Thank God Malcolm wasn't like that, reading 8 newspapers a day, always with a book in his briefcase, always with a notepad and a pen, always trying to understand better, right? Surrounding himself with the likes of John Oliver Killings and a young Maya Angelou, and of course a John Henrik Clark. Understood the importance of knowing. All right, family. So we're done. I want to certainly thank you all for coming out, and want to just encourage you all to please, family, subscribe to the channel. We are trying to get to 1,000, and then we're trying to get to 5,000, and then we're trying to get to 10,000. You know how we do. Thank you to the Queen B. Baby girl says this message is right on time, and I appreciate that. Thank you very much, family. As always, I want to thank you. Please subscribe, please share. Have a beautiful evening. Take care of your peoples, family. Study what you want to know more of. It's there. You can get it at the library. You can get it online or at the bookstore or through films and documentaries. We can accomplish what we will. That's what the Honorable Marcus Garvey said, and I'm going to leave you in that spirit on his 135th birthday. Peace, Black Power, Wakusu, family, free the land. We got this if we embrace this and we study this and we organize this. Peace.